Well, welcome back, everybody, to Music Talk with Dave and Mike. I'm Dave.
I'm Mike. How you doing?
So this week we're going to do the new Blackberry Smoke. It looks like this. It's called "You Hear Georgia."
Yep.
Pretty cool album cover, kind of patriotic. Got the Georgia thing going on the inside cover. We got the band and the bus and the Georgia sign. Back's got all the track listing on it. Pretty easy to read. I like that. It looks like they mailed it to me.
It's like the Green Acres uh water tower there.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, that was Petticoat Junction. I'm sorry.
Petticoat Junction. Yeah. Pretty cool how they got the barcode on the bus down there, though. I like
Yeah.
that. That is pretty cool.
One way to block out what the bus looks like.
Yeah. Then the CD, you got the state of Georgia, of course, and then
Yep.
a little bit of Georgia landscape back there.
Mhm.
Blackberry Smoke, You Hear Georgia. Comes with a nice little booklet inside. Um, it's got all the people on it. It's got each lyric, got song lyrics for each song. It's got some pictures of them in the studio, all kinds of cool stuff. You know, everyone's got something different on there. Picture of the back of the bus. They're leaving now, so there's the back of the bus. Pretty cool album. Uh, I liked it. Okay, there was a couple of lulls in the middle there that I could have, that kind of got a little boring. But other than that, I thought it was a good CD.
Yeah,
What'd you
I liked it. It was a little cliche-ish, though.
think?
I mean, it didn't venture far off the beaten path of what they were doing. I mean, it's like put down, live it down. Good rocker, sounded like the Black Crowes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It
I
was
like,
real Southern
but
rockish though.
yeah.
That's
You hear Georgia. I mean, that was a good slow blues, nice feel, but pretty typical blues. You know,
now. See, I had Black Crows written on that one.
really.
Yeah. Uh,
Hey Delilah reminded me a lot of New Orleans. It's R&B funk, more of a Little Feat type song.
Definitely Little Feet. That's the first thing I had came to mind when I heard that was Little Feet. I even wrote that down too. So
And in the bathtub.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you had that same shuffle and everything. So yeah. And then fourth song you got Ain't the Same,
Yeah,
which man, I've heard that song somewhere before, but I
yeah.
couldn't put my finger on it, man. You know?
What I got down here, standard rock, good cliches and lyrics, and nice slide guitar. But
Right. It kind of reminded me of the Eagles, maybe Jackson Brown, maybe Firefall, but there is something out there, man, that it is that song is just it kept coming to me. I really like the words though.
hmm
The words is, talking about a soldier coming back home and
right,
learn to
right.
cope and all that stuff. So that was
hmm
pretty cool. But man, it's just so familiar sounding.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah,
after that, what you got? Lonesome for a Living.
yeah.
That song, Lonesome for a Living, to me, the fifth song, I mean, it's definitely a straight country song. There's no doubt about it.
Country ballad and done in 6/8 with a little
Yeah.
bit of a blues feel. You
Yeah, you
know,
got you got Jamie Johnson guest singing on there, which I like Jamie Johnson. I always thought he was a good singer.
Yep.
To me, though, it sounded like that was a little bit out of their key on this one. For some reason, the vocals just didn't fit in to me.
I thought they needed to put a little bit more, maybe of a doubling effect or something on the vocal, just to fatten it up.
Yeah,
It's a little dry, which
yeah.
made it out there.
I don't know. It just had a weird. Yeah, it did have something weird going on there.
It's still a good song.
It
I
was.
mean,
And the thing about that too, that I had a hard time with the chorus resolving. It just sounded like, after they did the part where they would say, I'm lonesome for a living. It just seemed like they were missing something. I don't know. To me, it just seemed like the chorus just didn't resolve. I don't know.
right,
Like they
right.
needed two more bars of vocals,
hmm
and, because I kept expecting that every time it got to that, and I'm like, they didn't put it in there. I don't know. It's just weird to me. But still a good song. It kind of reminded me like of a Willie and Waylon type thing.
Yep, yep.
Maybe a little George Jones there when Jamie Johnson was doing some of his stuff. Kind of reminded me of George Jones a little bit.
Yeah, I got more of a feeling of like a George Jones type thing.
Yeah,
A maybe even a George Strait type ballad, you know.
Right, right.
Um,
Then we get to song number 6. That's All Rise Again. That's a Warren Haynes in there, which you
mhm.
can definitely tell. That song that song has a whole different feel to me than the rest of the record. More excitement to it, maybe.
But it had a real familiar melody to it, and I couldn't put my finger on it, and I'm still trying to figure out where I've heard that melody before.
Right. And I
No,
think there's a lot of this album that's like that, isn't it? I guess that's where you were saying that, it's kind of cliche-ish in a
yeah,
way.
yeah,
Because I mean, I'm with you. I mean, a lot of these songs they sound like something I've heard before.
hmm
But you got Warren Haynes in there. You know you're going to get that good Warren Haynes quality guitar playing.
yeah.
Good solo he did in there. Nice vocal work.
There was a
Typical, Southern blues rock. You know,
good guitar work in there too. You know, I was impressed with that. That actually almost sounded. At first I thought they had brought out Derek Trucks, but what they had done is they had copied the sound, but it was nowhere. And I'm glad because I think Derek Trucks overdoes it at
yeah.
point.
Well, I think Warren did the middle solo, and then the guy Benji Shanks is probably doing some of the other stuff too. I mean,
Right,
they got 3 guitar players on this record.
right.
So, um, Charlie Starr is the main guitar player,
hmm
finger guitar player. And then you got Paul Jackson, who's part of the band. And then they brought in Benji Shanks. So they call him a special guest, but he's on every song. So, and I think
Yeah,
he's done a lot of
and
this live work. So,
yeah, and they also too they talked about when they were going on tour, they were bringing the percussionist and I think him with them.
yeah, that was Preston Holcomb.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, he was on every song too. And then the backup vocals, you had Sherry and Sharita Murphy. They're also known as the Black Betties.
hmm
They were on like 4 songs. And of course, Warren Haynes and Jamie Johnson. So then we get to Old Enough to Know, that acoustic thing. I
Yeah.
honestly wish that they would have just done that acoustic and singing only.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought the same thing. I was a little, but you know, it's just a slice of life ballad.
Mm-hmm.
And is I put down there acoustic folk country. You know, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty much all I could put on it. You know.
Yeah. And, it's all about, living life and learning,
Right.
It's
Right.
pretty cool, actually, some of the stuff he says. They don't teach you that till you're old enough to know. Kind of wish you learned that stuff when you were younger and you wouldn't have made so many dumb mistakes, right? But I don't know. I just felt like I would have liked it better if it was just Charlie Starr singing it and playing it on acoustic, and that's it. It wasn't bad with the rest of the instruments in there, but I thought it would have changed up the album a little bit if they
Right.
just did that.
Yeah.
Then after that, we get Morningside, which to me, that's a great song. Morningside, that's a blues rocker,
Yeah.
it's got
Got
that,
a Delta Bayou feel to it. You know.
and it's got the same kind of familiar riff like you were talking about with the with All Rise Again. I mean, there was a couple riffs that you're like, man, that's so familiar sounding. But I mean, you're gonna get that no matter what. But to me, I like Morningside a lot. I thought it was really cool. You
Yeah.
had that big chord singing over the big chord and ripping into that riff again. So that was cool. And then the ninth one, not sure how I feel about that one. All Over the Road. That's just like a driving Southern rock type. I don't know, a boogie song, I guess you'd say, boogie woogie maybe.
It's a good rocker with yeah, it had some nice hooks in it.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't bad. And then the last song was Old Scarecrow, which was co-written by Ricky Medlock.
Yeah.
So it had that, feel about it too. You could definitely hear the Ricky
Delta.
Medlock influence for sure.
They, they put a lot of Delta feel into this album. I was surprised, and I don't know where did they record this? Were they down in Muscle Shoals or something?
Now this was done in RCA Studios, Studio A. And you know who produced this, right?
Huh? No, because I didn't have that
Dave
information.
Cobb.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Dave Cobb, man. Is Dave Cobb and Brandon Bell, the same team that works on a lot of stuff. I mean, they did the Travis Tritt.
Right.
I don't think Brandon Bell was on the Chris Stapleton, but definitely you can I'm surprised you didn't catch that
Hmm.
because it was, to me, it was definitely a Dave Cobb production.
Well,
Had that
the
old
I
style
like
sound.
the thing I liked about the album. I just sat here listening to it. You know, like back to back twice today,
Mhm.
and they definitely did some tweaking between each song, as with the drums and with instrumentation. The
Yeah.
instruments not sound the same song to song.
And and neither did his vocals. I mean, he sang everything different too.
Right. Mhm.
You know, it's kind of weird because it almost sounded like three different singers sometimes,
Yeah.
even though
Yeah.
it was him.
Yeah.
So I was very impressed with how they changed the sound of each song. You
Yeah.
know,
I was too. They did not overdo production, but they did it. To me, it was done just right.
yeah.
Um,
And you know, now that you know that it's Dave Cobb, it makes sense, right? Because you got that typical
yeah.
Dave Cobb stuff going on. I did like what he did with the drum sound that changed quite often. Um,
There was one of them where he was almost getting a Bonham sound on his snare, and I really liked that. I like that ringing that was
yeah,
happening. Yeah,
yeah. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the bass player and drummer are brothers.
really.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure they are. You know, I mean, I didn't do dig in and research it too much, but their names Britt Turner and Richard Turner, so I'm pretty sure they're brothers. They kind of look similar too. So
Probably so. They're both been there since 2001.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
overall, I mean, I really liked the album. I mean, it had a couple of lulls there every now and then, kind of got a little boring to me. But I mean, you had a handful of really rocking Southern rock songs on here. I mean, it's a good Southern rock record. Um, you know, I was listening to an interview with Charlie Starr, and he said one thing about it was that, you know, working with Dave Cobb, you don't have click tracks. You know, he just wants you to he wants you to play it live. And I feel like a lot of this has that feeling. You know, it's typical again, Dave Cobb. He don't make everything perfect. He likes it when there's a little bit of a mistake.
Well,
And he
you got to have that. You got to have that human feel happening when you get to play with click tracks. And I noticed this when I was in Nashville doing that demo we did. I was playing those click tracks, and it's one thing you can fall in and stay right on the click track. But what it winds up sounding like is a very sterile sound at the end. There's no push, there's no pull. I mean, you can play around pushing and pulling on a metronome,
yeah,
uh, but the whole band's got to be in tune and with your way on kind of like on your wavelength when you're doing that,
yeah.
you know, because it can be pursued. It could be looked at as you're rushing the song, so they drag
Hmm.
instead of understanding, well, this is an emotion, you know. And
Right.
when you're doing it without the click track, well, it happens naturally.
Yep.
Yeah, you're just playing with feeling. Maybe that's the difference between roadhouse blues bands and country bands, and you get these polished top 40 acts happening, and oh, listen to how great that is. Yeah, it was great, but it's all sounds very metered.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all mechanical sounding, sort of. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, this album does have that feel like it's like, you know, plug in your guitar. We're gonna rock this right now, and there they are. You know, had some great backup vocals. I mean, on You Hear Georgia, there's some really good backup vocals. Uh, I think the Black Betties were doing a lot of good vocal work on here.
Right, right.
You know, I like Charlie Starr's vocal work. There was a lot of Black Crows, Georgia Satellites sounding to me.
Yep.
Um, I get it. I mean, that's where they're from. Obviously, they're all from that same area, so they're all going to have that. In fact, the Chris Robinson, the singer for Black Crows, named the band Blackberry Smoke.
Well, the one guy that they brought in, what's his name? Guitar player,
Is it Benji Shanks?
Benji Shanks. He played with the Black Crows.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah,
He,
I meant to look him up and I didn't get a chance. I did check out Sherry and Sharita a little bit, but I didn't get a chance to check out Benji Shanks.
yeah.
But you know, I mean, top notch record. I mean, if you're a Southern rock guy, this is a great Southern rock record. It's kind of good to hear it come back. Really, I mean, there's not really a lot of Southern rock going on right now.
Well, I don't think it really ever left. It's been hidden in the bars,
Mhm.
hidden at your local VFWs and stuff that down in the South.
Yeah,
You know, um, the blues market has always always had a little bit of a hold on the market, regardless of what the times are.
Yeah.
And when you start listening to stuff like this, well, you hear the heavy influences of the blues. You know, you hear Texas blues, you hear, New Orleans blues, and that old Bayou feel. And I mean, there's so many different directions that you can go in, and they seem to stay on a streamlined direction with this one. It didn't venture too far out, farther west than, like I say, New Orleans type stuff, but it stayed right in the South.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Not, I guess, funny, but I kind of got a feeling on this one, like kind of like where you had Alan Jackson wanted to bring the old country back. Travis Tritt wanted to bring the old or newer country back to what it should be. I feel like they did the same thing on this record. They were looking to bring Southern rock back into the forefront because it's kind of been missing for a while. And I think they knocked it out of the park when it comes to that, really.
Yep. Well, the young 20 something.
If you like Skinnerd and Blackfoot and bands like that, you're really going to like this record.
Well, like I say, the young 20 somethings, are really getting into the classic music. They really are, and there's a push for it now.
Yeah.
Bringing back traditional instrumentation on stage, getting away from the mechanical stuff. There aren't too many people that really know how to master using electronics and real instrumentation. Prince was one of them that managed to do it, but Prince had his own sound.
Yeah.
So regardless of what he did, it was Prince.
Exactly.
So, but bringing back the good traditional stuff to where you feel like, yeah, I'm a musician. I could walk into a bar at bands playing this stuff, and I could get asked to sit in, and I wouldn't be lost.
Yeah.
I would sit there and just play. It's not hard to follow this stuff, but it really moves your feet and moves your soul.
Yep. Yeah. It's definitely got that going on for it, for sure. I can see all these songs being played live, with the exception of maybe a couple of them that, are going to be a real hit live. I mean, you got the big choruses, the sing-along words. I mean, you got 3 guitar attack coming at you. These songs are really going to open up live, I believe. And it's a good record. I'll be honest, I gave it an 8.3. I think it's pretty good. 8.3 is not a bad score for me. I mean, that's getting up there.
I liked it. I like the feel of the whole thing. I mean, it brought me home. I think honestly an 8.5. I mean,
so 8 for you.
Yeah, well, anytime anybody, and like I say, a lot of this stuff sounds real cliche, and that's not in a bad sense.
Right.
I'm saying that because a lot of this stuff sounded familiar, but it's not. I can't, like I say, that one song had a real familiar melody to it, but for the life of me, I can't put my finger on what it was.
Right.
I think it was done on purpose. I think that was the whole purpose of the whole song. Was
that's kind of what you want your song to be, right? You want your song to be so familiar to someone they think they've heard it before, but it's really, new. And, it's like, man, this song, it just kind of hits you, So,
yep.
I mean, they pretty much hit it all. I mean, they got the Black Crow sound. They got a little bit of Eagles in here. You got a little bit of Little Feat. I mean, you can't go wrong with this. I mean, you got the California Southern rock going on. Or I guess you call it Southern rock. I don't know. What would you call the Eagles?
Well, the Eagles were country rock. They were a frustrated rock band.
Mm-hmm.
Glenn Frey and Don Henley really wanted to play rock and roll.
Yeah.
And that's when Long Run and all that happened,
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, they started out more of like a country rock for sure.
Right.
So, right. I don't know. They were always their own thing to me. But yeah, this one definitely hits the Georgia. And here we are again doing Georgia. Travis Tritt from Georgia. We just did his album.
Yep.
Now here we are doing another Georgia band with an album called You Hear Georgia. So you're getting another Georgia influenced band. It's kind of crazy. It was 2 back to back like that. It wasn't planned. It just happened to be that way. So,
well, Georgia had some great bands, man.
Yeah, they're still pumping them out, man. Anyway, all right. Well, we'll wrap it up. I gave it an 8.3. Mike
Wow.
gave it an 8.5. I think it's a good Southern rock record. If you like Southern rock, then go get it. You'll dig this one.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
let
I'm
us
there.
know what y'all think about it. So, and
Mhm.
until next time, y'all be safe.
Peace out and listen to the music.